Marjorie Taylor Greene ends Adam Schiff's career and calls him a serial liar and backs it up with hard, concrete evidence on Congress's floor. You guys have got to check this out.
There's a lot of things that happen here in Congress, and many of them waste the American people's hard-earned tax dollars. But one of the most outrageous waste of hard-earned tax dollars has been the Russian collusion hoax led by Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff lied to the American people by leading the fake Russian witch hunt against President Trump. He weaponized the House Intelligence Committee to abuse all principles of due process and perpetuate the lies of Russia collusion. And he did that on the media over and over again. His committee conducted approximately 53 interviews during its 2017-2018 Russia probe. These transcripts from the Director of National Intelligence, former Obama Attorney General, former Deputy Attorney General, and the FBI Director, among others, proved that there was zero direct evidence of criminal conspiracy. He not only refused to release these interview transcripts, but he also continued to peddle lies to the American people that Russia interfered in the election. He falsely claimed that Russians offered help. The campaign accepted help. The Russians gave help. And the president made full use of that help when referring to allegations between President Trump and Russia during the 2016 election. In November 2020, he specifically asked Twitter to take action against spreaders of misinformation by removing content that questioned his baseless claims of Russian collusion. The biggest spreader of misinformation was Adam Schiff. As we know, the Mueller report determined there was no criminal collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. Thanks to the Durham report, we know now the entire Russian hoax was bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton and the DNC. During the probe, Schiff also abused his position on the Intel Committee and violated civil liberties by subpoenaing phone records from AT&T and a former Republican colleague on entirely baseless claims. His lies and abuse of power continued during the sham. Hollywood produced January 6th committee witch hunt, where him and his staff doctored a text message between Representative Jim Jordan and former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows to deliberately manipulate information presented to the American people. What a lie. He displayed a graphic of a text message which cut a sentence in half and eliminated the final two paragraphs of a detailed legal summary that were contained in the original text message. He did this to peddle more lies to the American people and perpetuate the fake narrative that January 6th was an insurrection, and it was not. And now Adam Schiff is running for Senate.
Gentlewoman yields to...
Thank you.
How much time?
1 minute.
One more minute.
1 more minute. Gentlewoman's recognized.
Thank you. And now Adam Schiff is running for Senate in California. Now, California has a lot of things messed up, and California is not the model that the United States needs. As a matter of fact, their government policies are atrocious. So if California decides to send Adam Schiff to Senate, they will be sending a proven liar, and that's what he's aiming to do. Raise money off of being a liar and running for Senate. I yield back the remainder of my time.
Adam Schiff has caused irreparable damage to America. He was able to convince half the country that Donald Trump was a traitor to this nation and was colluding with Russia. And that's the only reason he got elected in 2016. All the while he did this, he knew full well it was nonsense. He was lying to the American people just because it helped further his own agenda. We need to hold this man accountable to the fullest extent of the law. He was just playing politics, trying to push propaganda to further his own personal agenda. This type of behavior is despicable, and not only should he not be allowed in Congress, he should be in prison for what he did. This should not be a partisan issue. If you go on national TV and outwardly lie about the sitting president of the United States, claiming that you have material that links him to Russia, all the while it's all BS, yeah, you need to be held accountable. It's not a controversial issue. You knew what you were doing, and you still did it anyway, just to try and cause mayhem.
2021, I introduced articles of impeachment against Joe Biden. And less than 2 weeks later, I was kicked off all of my committees by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. They said it was for Facebook comments and replies and likes, but we all know the truth. It was because my articles of impeachment on Joe Biden were correct. He was indeed abusing his power as Vice President of the United States. Now we have more information to prove that not only was I right then, but it was more damning than we already knew. But I'd like to roll back. President Trump was wrongfully impeached twice. And both of these impeachments must be expunged by the House of Representatives. But what I'd like to talk about is the difference in the type of information we have. The Democrats brought out the Steele dossier. The Steele dossier was written as a Democrat political opposition research paper. The information was written by a contractor and it was fed to the FBI with no transparency on subsources. The contractor had no primary source information, and the FBI operationalized uncorroborated claims to secure FISA warrant on political campaign official of opposing political party. Information was later debunked by Congress, the Inspector General, and Special Counsel investigations. But the mainstream media won Pulitzer Prizes on the bogus Russia narrative. And then they led the witch hunt, leading to impeaching President Trump over a phone call with the president of Ukraine. But let me tell the House what type of information we actually have. We have an FBI form called an FD 1023 form, and here's the difference for the public listening. On the 1023 form, the information originated from an FBI informant who'd been relied upon for many years and was considered the FBI's top informant. It was also paid $200,000 for multiple years by the FBI. Information was written by the FBI agent in official FBI form and relied on no additional subsources. The FBI informant was a direct eye and ear witness to the information provided. The FBI apparently took no action to further the investigative claim. The FBI has refused to describe any investigative steps to assess the investigative information. Therefore, it has not been debunked, despite White House's lies and false claims. The mainstream media has largely ignored the story or parroted the White House false claim. What does the FD 1023 form tell you? I'll tell you exactly what it says, because not only have I read it, I also have it in my possession right here. And this is a form that the entire American people, the entire public should have because it's unclassified. But Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, forced us to read it in a Schiff and would not hand it over to us. Thankfully, Senator Chuck Grassley released this form because it was provided to him by a brave whistleblower. This form entails the damning information that then Vice President Joe Biden took a $5 million bribe from the oligarch that owns Burisma. Not only did Joe Biden take a $5 million bribe, so did Hunter Biden. And what did Joe Biden deliver as Vice President of the United States? He got Viktor Shokin, the Ukrainian prosecutor general, fired from his job. How did Joe Biden, Vice President, get that done? He threatened to withhold $1 billion of U.S. aid to Ukraine until Viktor Shokin was fired. And you want to know what? He was fired. In 2016, Joe Biden himself bragged to the Foreign Council and told them that he got him fired. He bragged about it. It's on video. But that's not all they've done. Hunter Biden has also gotten his father on the phone over 24 times to talk with his business partners and talk with them about the business that they are doing. And even more so, in our possession, through our investigations on our Republican-led committees, we also have a WhatsApp chat that says, from Hunter Biden, I am sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Who's his father? Joe Biden. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand, and now means tonight. And it continues on. What I'm demanding is that the Republican-led House of Representatives move forward on an impeachment inquiry on Joe Biden, because this type of corruption should never be allowed to stand. We must expunge President Trump's wrongful impeachments, and we must impeach Joe Biden.
For anybody who sits there and thinks this is a conspiracy, that there is not concrete evidence that Joe Biden, Hunter Biden are traitors to this nation and have sold us out, then I want to direct you to the video of Joe Biden actively saying, "You better fire that guy going after my son, or I am withholding this aid to you." What do you think Ukraine is going to do? You think they're going to keep that one prosecutor going after Hunter Biden? Or do you think they want the $1 billion in aid? This is a no-brainer. Joe Biden abused his power as Vice President of the United States under Barack Obama, and he used it to enrich himself and his family. Do you think it's a coincidence that Joe Biden pardons his entire family when nobody other than Hunter was ever charged with a single crime? This man is an absolute crook, and he knows it. He doesn't even care. I mean, a business associate of Hunter Biden's, Tony Bobulinski, went up to Congress and he exposed all the corruption to the entire world. And still, even though that got exposed to the American people, Joe Biden still thought that he had what it takes to run for president yet again. He thinks the American people are stupid, but we're not. We are going to make sure that people like him are held accountable to their actions. They can't sell us out anymore. We are too vigilant, we are too determined, and we will not let it happen again.
Follows. H.Res. 49, censuring and condemning Adam Schiff, representative of California's 30th Congressional District. Whereas the allegation that President Donald Trump colluded with Russia to steal the 2016 presidential election has been revealed as false by numerous in-depth investigations, including the recent report by Special Counsel John Durham, which documents how the conspiracy theory was invented, funded, and spread by President Trump's political rivals. Whereas Representative Adam Schiff, who served as a ranking minority member and then chairman of the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence of the House of Representatives, HPSCI occupied positions of extreme trust, affording him access to sensitive information unavailable to most members of Congress. Whereas for years, Representative Schiff abused his trust by citing evidence of collusion that, as is clear from reports by Special Counsel Robert Mueller, Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz, and Special Counsel Durham, does not exist. Whereas by repeatedly telling these falsehoods, Representative Schiff purposely deceived his committee, Congress, and the American people. Whereas Representative Schiff lent credibility to the Steele dossier, a collection of debunked collusion accusations funded by President Trump's political rivals, by reading false Steele allegations into the congressional record at HPSCI hearing on March 20th, 2017. Whereas once again abusing his privileged access to classified information, Representative Schiff composed a false memo justifying the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA warrant application on Trump associate Carter Page, which Inspector General Horowitz later found riddled with 17 major mistakes and omissions, provoking FISA court presiding judge Rosemary Collyer to state unequivocally that the Federal Bureau of Investigation misled the FISC. Whereas by publicly smearing Carter Page as a Russian collaborator and justifying spurious investigations of him, Representative Schiff contributed to the gross violations of a United States citizen's civil liberties, thereby committing the very abuses the HPSCI is tasked with identifying and thwarting. Whereas HPSCI ranking minority member and chairman Representative Schiff behaved dishonestly and dishonorably on many other occasions, including by falsely denying that his staff coordinated with a whistleblower to launch the first impeachment of President Trump. Whereas part of his impeachment efforts during an HPSCI hearing on September 26, 2019, Representative Schiff recited a false concocted rendition of a phone call between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Whereas Representative Schiff exploited his position on HPSCI to encourage and excuse abusive intelligence investigations of Americans for political purposes. Whereas Representative Schiff used his position and access to sensitive information to instigate a fraudulently based investigation, which then he used to amass political gain and fundraising dollars. Whereas the American taxpayers paid $32 million to fund the investigation into collusion that was launched as a result of Representative Schiff's lies, misrepresentations, and abuses of sensitive information. And whereas it is determined by an investigation conducted by the Committee on Ethics that Representative Schiff lied, made representations, and abused sensitive information, he should be fined the amount of $16 million. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the House of Representatives censures and condemns Adam Schiff, representative of California's 30th Congressional District, for conduct that misleads the American people in a way that is not befitting of an elected member of the House of Representatives. Representative Adam Schiff will forthwith present himself to the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. Representative Schiff will then be censured with a public reading of this resolution by the Speaker, and the Committee on Ethics shall conduct an investigation into Representative Adam Schiff's lies, misrepresentations, and abuses of sensitive information. Morning with one goal: to lie to the American people that there was a direct evidence of Russia collusion. Despite transcripts from Schiff's investigation showing that the Director of National Intelligence, former Obama Attorney General, former Attorney General, and FBI Director, to name a few, went on record telling Schiff's committee that there was no direct evidence for his criminal conspiracy. Yet to this day, Schiff actively fundraises off of his exploitation of Americans as if robbing them from the truth and $32 million in taxpayer dollars was not enough. Can anyone in this chamber comprehend this list of crimes and yet somehow believe that there should not be an answer for it? This is not a partisan act. This is not a conservative versus liberal vote. This is a clear vote between right and wrong, and I urge you to do the right thing. I will end with repeating with what I started with. The American people do not trust Congress. The cyclical pattern of lies has worn down the credibility of every institution and every official in the United States government. You see it, I see it. If we run away from this opportunity to hold this man accountable, there is only one fault, and that is of ourselves. We will betray the people who trusted us and sent us here to do the right thing. We will be responsible for the end of any shred of justice in this body, and we will reject the duty that we swore an oath to protect upon taking office. I reserve the balance of my time.
$32 million were wasted on this bogus sham investigation into Donald Trump. Adam Schiff knew full well, with concrete evidence, that there was nothing behind this case whatsoever, yet he still decided to pursue it just because it would hurt Donald Trump. It would help get in the mind of the American people that Donald Trump is a traitor to this country. The problem with the news cycle today is that you'll hear the allegations, you'll hear the stories, you'll never hear the corrections. They don't spend much time on correcting themselves. It'll be in page 42 of the New York Times. But in regard to the $32 million, Adam Schiff should have to pay back this money out of his own pocket. And the thing is, you know this guy probably has $32 million in the bank because he's a corrupt Democratic politician. You know that he's got a lot of money tucked away that we don't know about because he was enriching himself off of the backs of the American people. These type of politicians are a cancer and a plague to this government that cause Americans to have severe distrust in our own federal government and Congress. Donald Trump really shed a light on how corrupt, crooked, and dishonest these people truly are. And it's not just him, it's the mainstream media as well. It's CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, because they aired Adam Schiff talking bad about the President Donald Trump, saying that he's a Russian agent, he's a Russian asset, with no evidence whatsoever. And millions of Americans were being spoon-fed this propaganda, and they believed it. Adam Schiff really has a large part of the blame when it comes to the divide in this country, so he needs to be held to the fullest extent of the law. He has no place in Congress. He belongs in a prison. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this down below. Do you think Adam Schiff will be held accountable for his actions, or do you think he'll just weasel his way out of it and he'll somehow escape? Let me know. I'd love to know your opinions. And if you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, and wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.